Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Callers, Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it is indeed a pleasure to finally get a chance to take a call on the Alcohol Law Reform Bill and to debate Part 6. And in Part 6 I have two SOPs, two amendments that I have proposed, and I intend to take this call, Mr. Chairman, to speak to one of those, and I hope to get an opportunity to speak to the second of those later on. The first of them is an amendment to require nutritional information on the labelling of alcohol products. And, Mr. Chair, this was an issue that wasn't necessarily canvassed very strongly when the Law Commission prepared its very comprehensive report on the issue, but it was an issue that was raised by a number of submitters. And I think it is a great shame that the government has not only ignored the Law Commission's report in its complexity and in its thoroughness, but has also chosen to ignore the very many important submitters that came in on this issue, because there were somewhere between 20 and 30 individuals and organisations who made submissions to the Select Committee saying, look, if we can get nutritional information on alcohol products, then that will be a significant deterrent to particularly young women, actually, in their choices about what they decide to do around binge drinking. And we know that we have a growing problem in this country with binge drinking, and it is growing amongst young women, Mr. Chair. So why wouldn't the government take a common sense approach to this and actually put nutritional information on the labelling so that those young women, those young New Zealanders, all of us in fact, could make some informed decisions about what we are intaking into our body? It's about informed decision making, Mr. Chair. And because information is power, why would not the government take this very common sense approach in this bill? It's yet another example of how the government wants to look like it's addressing this issue comprehensively, but of course this process is exposing just how they are trying to get away with the bare minimum possible, to try and convince the community that they are doing something about this terrible problem in our community. Mr. Chair, I want to just make reference to a couple of the submissions that came forward. One of them was from the National Advisory Group on tertiary students drinking, and they believed that introducing a rotating set of bold and graphic warnings on alcohol containers that also had the information on about nutritional guidelines would make a significant difference in the body of people who they represent, being tertiary students. We also had a number of submitters raise with the committee that the Food Safety Australia-New Zealand Ministerial Council report, so an official report, has actually made a recommendation specifically that energy content be displayed on the labels of all alcohol beverages, consistent with the requirements for other food products. So, Mr. Chair, this is exactly what my amendment asked this Parliament to do. It asked this Parliament to back up a recommendation from the Food Safety Australia-New Zealand Ministerial Council report on this very issue. And I find it quite disturbing that not only did a range of submitters, both just Jane and Joe Public off the street, but also some large organisations, actually many of them representing women and being concerned about violence against women and this issue of how binge drinking does actually affect our community in a very sad and pervasive way. They could find this information and present it to this Parliament about the recommendations from that Ministerial Council report, but this government seems prepared to ignore it. Mr. Chair, I want to urge this government to put politics aside as I did when I voted for Tim McIndoe, a National MP, when I voted for his amendment to raise the age of purchase to 20. I put politics aside for the sake of my community. I put it aside for the sake of my community. I'm urging that government to now put politics aside and start voting for start voting for Labour Party amendments that in fact will make a stronger law. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get it right, and the government is playing politics by party voting on a conscience issue that they have not done so before. That government is not prepared to put politics aside, and they ought to.
I call Dr Cam Calder.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. It's a pleasure to rise and speak on the Alcohol Reform Bill, which this government